have Hussein from Walter P. Moore.
Okay, so hey everyone, and thank you very much. I'm happy to be part of this amazing lineup. I'm Hussein, and I'm presenting on behalf of a big team of computational designer and software developer here at Walter P. Moore. Before starting, just like a quick introduction about myself. I have like a mixed background. I started as an undergrad in civil engineering, then got interested in parametric design, did a master in architectural technology, and then finally I did my PhD in robotic construction related fields. And now I'm an AI developer, software developer here at Walter P. Moore, so some kind of mixed background. Just jumping to the end of the conversation, that why we are using a ShapeDiver here at Walter P. Moore. I think we are aiming for project people and especially computational designer to work with these prototypes and tools that we are developing. And during our investigation using ShapeDiver and the integration inside our software development, we realized that it has a great potential in early stage design exploration, especially LOD 100 solutions that we can build, and we can enable computational designers to build these mini apps. The topic that I'm focusing today, I think you saw in previous presentation, and you're going to see in the next one, that the ShapeDiver, as you know, is starting and is built on top of a Grasshopper script. And I'm focusing on a platform we call Emulation Lab, that is an in-house workflow that we design here within the company, and how we are integrating that platform inside ShapeDiver app development. So just to summarize, like what is Emulation Lab is similar to the Google Play or App Store for engineering calculators that we have here. So if you are seeing the schema of the design, like on top of the screen, like LOD 100, then LOD 400, the way that we traditionally define that, like in some certain point we have data, and at the bottom of the screen, you can see like the new way somehow we are like dealing with data, even in the LOD 100, and we are trying to monitor that. And we are building some data-driven apps and some automation-related schemas on top of this new design approach. And you can see different names of our apps here, and Emulation Lab and that engineering workflow for the calculators is trying to, at least as an AI group initiative, play a central role in this process. This screenshot is like the one that I'm sharing with our engineers who are interested in collaborating with us. So if you have a calculator, it could be a Python file, Grasshopper script, Excel file, legacy Excel file that we are using inside company. It's super fast. We can just host it inside Emulation Lab. There will be available through APIs and socket systems, so you can just use it on fly. And it gives you the opportunity to nest calculations. You know, you can now build a custom Python file easily on top of your Excel file, connecting Excel file to the Grasshopper description, similar to the way that ShapeDiver is working, and we are trying to integrate these two. If your calculator is slow, you can reach out to us. We can generate and synthesize data for you. That data is useful for machine learning. We can also do the optimization. That's the overall workflow. The Emulation Lab itself has some front end that you can see. We are listing different calculators here. For example, this one is a Walter P. Moore Studio Trust Designer. So it's running the actual Grasshopper file in one of our agents. We are including all the meta information related to that one. This calculator is dealing with the JSON format. And if the calculator is visualization friendly, we can just show it inside our front end. So it's just a workflow for a developer to see like what they are dealing with when working with the API as input, and then see the format of the output. So if they want to do further investigation, especially for the ShapeDiver, they can use all this custom map inside their Grasshopper workflow. And the inputs could be like JSON, or it could be like some kind of like a Excel shape, just field-based inputs that you can fill. And for more like some engineering calculator that needs a log and needs like all the steps of the process, we are trying to include that. So it's enabling us. This whole workflow is enabling us to just have some new application. We can right now call the same like a spread footing designer that you saw in the previous slide inside the Revit. So you can call that and then do the calculation and see the log trying to update the property and just building your Revit families. It's accessible through the chat.walterpmore.com. So if an engineer going there and asking for a spread footing design is not going to hallucinate or trying to resync or trying to reshape the way that it need to be calculated. Some MCP shape wrapper around the calculator that trying to just deal with that already reviewed and hosted one and giving the user a good schema. And for the ShapeDiver. So I'm here like listing 4 different reasons that we are using the same schema inside the ShapeDiver. The first one is when we are like outsourcing these kind of calculators and having that inside that Emulation Lab agents, we can keep the viewer fast. So we can just like have that heavy computation happening somewhere else while we are controlling the result and the visualization of the result in the ShapeDiver whenever it's needed. Then doing that, we can enable our engineers and computational designer to use our repo, to use our external software, and they're like available through APIs. So they can just like have a complete repo, different Python libraries, something that maybe currently ShapeDiver cannot handle, or it's going to make the Grasshopper definitions so slow. So we can do that. We can protect our core data here. So any usage of the ShapeDiver app right now, we can just track that as well, and we can see like how people using our calculators, what are the bugs, how we can fix that without like touching the main Grasshopper script. And as I mentioned earlier, like connecting the external tools. So now we can have the Excel file, we can have another Grasshopper definition inside the ShapeDiver app that we can build. Right now, we have 3 different engineers team using the same schema to develop that AI and LOD 100. We have a column load takedown under progress. We have a secure design team working for some Blast 3D tool, and the parking app that today I'm going to just talk about that is live and is like in the beta testing, and we keep improving that. When we started working with ShapeDiver, we had it in our mind that we need that cross-software calculation chain. So I think that's something that ShapeDiver eventually trying to help for us. And again, like the chain of Excel and Python calculation, and more importantly, that computational designers now focus on the logic of the ShapeDiver app while leveraging what is like developed by the software developer within the company, or like engineers who send their calculators. And for the versioning, of course, we have a versioning inside the ShapeDiver, and you can see like releasing different pieces. And for the calculator and the engine and the brain of the calculation, we have a good documentation inside Emulation Lab as well. Description, limitation, notes, the review cycle that each calculator went through. So it's like visible for the ShapeDiver app, for the user, and more recently for AI agent to understand what's going on. And yeah, the final result of these explorations is trying to just connect computational designer with engineers. So we are seeing some bottleneck doing that right now, especially we're waiting for some live interaction with the Grasshopper file that we want to develop. Is like very critical part in the like a recent way of developing that we should interact with that. But that's the thing that we are trying to reach out. So the demo I'm showing here is fully developed by Ji-Hoon Park, my friend here in Walter P. Moore. He's a computational designer. So Jared, our computational product manager, started this initiative for a parking app, and they started developing this one very great app that I'm hoping not slaughtering the feature. I'm mostly focusing on the Emulation Lab part. So if you want to just know about the app itself and how it's working, and that I think the greatest schema, like all those if statement, the way that app works, maybe we can have a new webinar that Ji-Hoon is like walking people through like how he developed this magnificent app. And I'm just like showing you like that integration, the giant Grasshopper file that we have. And then in some point, we are in a stage that we need to do the striping inside that. Striping is something complicated, and it needs like some further logic on top of that. and we don't want to do it in a single Python file inside Grasshopper or like dealing with all these edge cases. So the team has started developing a full Python repo inside the Git for Walter P. Moore. And then after testing, having like all other way of visualization for the like a classic Python environment, we hosted that calculator inside Emulation Lab. And now the app and a module of the app, as you can see here, is trying to call that API. You know, that review that we launched, it has a launch ID, is expecting a specific JSON input that you are seeing on the left of the screen. So the computational designer right here, Jihoon, is trying to just like using JSON and then Swiftlet at the end of the day, trying to just like build that JSON that is expected, calling Emulation Lab. We have an agent that calling that repo, trying to have a threading there, doing this striping very fast, and just report back the results so the computational designer can use it inside their app. So, yep, here's the app itself. It's version 1.6. And like I'm just starting from like the scratch, building the app. And by default, I'm enabling the striping, so you can see the difference. So there are different fields on top of the app, very, very sophisticated one. And I think Jihoon is proud of what he made, and he's continuing developing that. But I'm changing the, here, like the bay numbers is like a parking configurator. So we need to just build our geometry first. Then it gives you like all other like fancy feature of like changing dimension. For example, right here, I'm changing the floor height of the first level to 20 feet. And after I'm feeling confident that this might be my building geometry, I'm creating the basics. And when I'm good with basic, you can see, because the striping is already auto-enabled, you can see like it's called Emulation Lab, and right now the visualization has some lags, and it's not because of ShapeDiver, it's because of the all huge data that is passing. So you can just turn off the like that piece of the technology, and now you can continue investigating with your app. So right now I'm like turning on the core. I want to add 2 different core. The way that Jihoon defined that is like there are different pieces that you can select as a main core. So I'm selecting 2 different cores here, and I'm like, okay, maybe based on the people requesting this workflow, these are like a good locations. And now in the middle of our investigation, I can go back to the stripe and I can double check, you know, and there are like some feature related to the striping that you can change as well. But I can just quickly check based on our current method of striping, how does it work? Oh my God. So this core is like in the middle of the driveway. The other might seem good, but maybe we are losing a couple of parking spots. And you can see on the left, different way of like managing your striping input before like calling Emulation Lab. So right now, again, I'm turning off that huge computation part. I don't want it to be recomputed again and again calling Emulation Lab. And I'm dealing with this one is a work in progress, you know, like dealing with the ramps. So usually in parking configurators, the first floor ramp might be different from second floor. So Jihoon just excluded these 2 pieces here. So you can see I defined the first floor, and then I'm going for the second floor and the floor above that. So you can just have multiple ramps here. You can adjust that. There is you can see there is an exterior ramp option, changing the direction of that. And again, when doing that investigation and it's time for checking a striping one more time, you are calling that. The viewer will be a little bit slow, but enough for you to see what's going on. And if you need to do the other justification, you are good to go. And in the right side of the screen, you can see we have like different export options as well. We have a seed central format that is like a common language of transferring data here in Walter P. Moore. And we can just convert it to the PDF and other format if it's necessary as well. And here is like just to wrap it up, another example, the blast 3D app that I mentioned. Again, same schema of the design, focusing on the calculator, trying to build a Grasshopper definition, making it ShapeDiver friendly, and then like there are like some interest in like investigating other venue like a Streamlit or React app that again based on Emulation Lab. Thank you very much.
All right, that was impressive. Very good. Alex, you have any comments?
Yeah, first of all, many thanks for the great presentation, giving us an insight into how you structure your business logic in Walter P. Moore. I think the Emulation Lab is connecting to the Emulation Lab is really a great way to actually separate the calculation logic that you are using anyway, not only for the apps you build using ShapeDiver, but using making them accessible via a chatbot and other interfaces, and then just calling to those calculation services via an API is really a great approach to actually separate the logic. Maybe a detailed question: how are you deploying this emulation app? Is this running on some servers in your offices? Do you deploy it to a cloud service? How does that work actually?
So yeah, I think the way that it's working is we have some, we call them agents, and they're like actual computers running inside our offices. So depends on the calculator itself. If it's like this Grasshopper file, they're like actually running Rhino instances, because sometimes Rhino compute can handle like some of the libraries. So they're like some Rhino instances that you can see there is a launch. So we are curating and making sure that exact Grasshopper file that is here and working with this input is going to work. So it's going to just send it to the through API, or right now it's socket, depending on your application, that the way that you want to communicate, and you are going to run that. For the Excel file, same, setting up that one. We have some Walter P. Moore Visual Basic function that need to be activated in some Excel file. For Python, it depends. Sometimes we are Dockerizing that, so making sure that it's going to work in like a Docker environment. Or sometimes, again, like a Python file that we are just using our super fast computer to just do it faster.
I see. Cool. So, and how big is your team maintaining that? Are you doing that? Do you collaborate with others on maintaining the Emulation Lab?
Yeah, so like we have two different modes, like consumer mode and contributor mode. So when you are inside the workflow, as a contributor, you can start a new emulator. We have like a series of videos that people can watch, how to make a Python calculator, Excel calculator, and then they are going to host it here. And when they are confident about that and they're like done designing all these pieces, then we call it launch. So we are like going for like some reviewing process of that project in that stage, and asking the developer to just like, similar to the old way of designing Excel file, try to just like itemize all this thing. And then we are going to, for some, you can see here, some review, like first of all, API and socket review, then data review, and then making sure like iterating to 100 iteration and making sure it's valid.
Yeah. Okay.
There's one question here by an attendee. It says, is the parking web tool used mostly by structural engineers? Like, who is the target user for this application?
Yeah, so like when people like in a parking group started developing this one, they already have some kind of a Streamlit app that they can just like go for a rules and regulation and trying to figure out. But ShapeDiver was a sweet spot of like interaction, like it's we already had some Grasshopper file scattered around in the company, and you know those Grasshopper file like taking 10 minutes to just open it, and then there are like some lags and bugs. So this one was like a approach of like trying to centralize that one for our structured team, that they have a new project. They need to just like figure out some configurator, trying to iterate through that, having some visualization, and then trying to report that before going for like, okay, let's go to SAP. Now it's time for structural design and all other pieces.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. Okay, so then let's jump to, there might be more questions coming in, but let's jump to the last one.
Thank you, Hussein.
Thank you, Hussein. It was fantastic. Now the next one's going to be Sophie.